The Trey Lance situation might be one of the most craziest situations ever to happen in the NFL. And honestly, I'm starting to feel bad for Mr. Lance because this situation is honestly so crazy. And today I'm going to break it down, starting all the way in college and bring it up all the way till now, him being on the Dallas Cowboys and getting traded there. What started this and what made this all happen and what happened to Trey Lance. Before we get into it though, make sure you drop a like and subscribe and let me know what you guys think about Trey Lance. Do you guys think he'll ever get another starting job in the NFL? And let's get into it. This really all starts in the 2019 regular season of college football, the NCAA. Trey Lance is starting in college, and honestly, these numbers that I'm putting up on the screen right now look amazing in all these games that he played. Absolutely greatness. Now, there's one problem with this. Trey Lance did not go to LSU, Georgia, Alabama, some huge and big college. He went to North Dakota State University. Now, the thing about that, the certain conference that North Dakota State University is in the Missouri Valley Conference, and the thing is, there's not a lot of top schools in this division, as you can clearly see. So it's not like Trey Lance was going out there and playing against Ohio State, LSU, Georgia, and putting up these numbers. He's not putting up these insane numbers versus these huge college teams like I mentioned earlier, Ohio State, LSU. He's not putting up numbers versus them. Now, I'm not saying this because I think that Trey Lance is a bad quarterback because he played against these college teams that weren't necessarily huge and big schools. I'm simply telling you guys this just to show the timeline of what happened with Trey Lance in college. And I can't even say he's bad because he played against these college teams, because NFL teams and NFL scouts still looked at this man as a first-round draft pick, and that's what happened. Let's get into the draft portion of the timeline now. So in March of 2021, Trey Lance stock just starts rising. And you know what ends up happening? The 49ers are in a tough situation. They have Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback, and he's coming off a serious ankle injury. So in March of 2021, Trey Lance stock just started rising. His draft value started becoming super high. So with this and Garoppolo, like I said, coming off his ankle injury, the 49ers and the Dolphins start talking about a trade. And they end up getting a deal done. San Fran acquires the number 3 pick in that draft in the 2021 NFL draft, and the Dolphins end up getting the 12th pick, a first and third rounders in the 2022 NFL draft, and of course a first rounder in the 2023 NFL draft. And just keep in mind, the 49ers gave up all that draft capital to go ahead with the number 3 overall pick and select Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. I just want to give everybody another reminder. Remember all the stuff that they gave the Dolphins for Trey Lance, because honestly, the way that it's looking right now, it's looking like this might be one of the biggest one-sided trades, one of the most worst trades ever in NFL history. Going into the 2021 NFL season, a lot happens with the 49ers, but Jimmy Garoppolo still ends up being the starting quarterback. Now, during this season, the 49ers go through a lot of stuff, but Trey Lance does end up playing in some games. He plays a game versus the Seattle Seahawks, a game versus the Arizona Cardinals, and he plays a game versus the Houston Texans. In my opinion, his best game was versus the Houston Texans, where he threw 249 yards, a 69 passer completion percentage, 2 touchdowns and only 1 interception, and he had 31 rushing yards. Other 2 games that he played against Arizona and Seattle, I say those games were mid. He only really had a 50% completion percentage throwing. He threw 2 TDs in those combined performances and only 1 interception in those combined performances. There wasn't really anything special. I would definitely think that this Houston Texans game was his best performance. But Jimmy Garoppolo would still get the starting job. The 49ers that season would go 10-7 and make it all the way to the NFC Championship game, where of course they would lose to the Super Bowl champions, the Los Angeles Rams. And after that NFC Championship loss, a lot of people wanted to say that Jimmy Garoppolo didn't really play that well, and a lot of people wanted to see another guy. People got tired of seeing Jimmy G in San Francisco, and I think the general manager and the people of San Francisco finally decided that it was time for Trey Lance to, of course, get his starting job. And you know what happened that offseason and in training camp? The next season, Trey Lance would be the starter for the San Francisco 49ers. And here's where things just start getting weird and just kind of sad, and this is where you really start to feel bad for Mr. Trey Lance here. His first start would be against the Chicago Bears, and it would be a loss. He threw for 164 yards, had a completion percentage of 46.4. He threw 1 interception and got 2 sacks. Now, these stats might look horrible, but I have to give him a break here. You want to know why? The weather, if you would have watched this game, the game was delayed on NFL Red Zone. I remember watching this week 1 last year, and the weather conditions were all around horrible at Soldier Field this game. If you look at the clips from the game like I'm showing you guys right here, it was all around pouring rain, and the field at Soldier Field did not help at all. It showed that the whole game and the weather conditions were bad. It was a bad start for Trey Lance, but in my opinion, I'm going to give him a pass because of this game and how bad the weather conditions were. Week 2, he plays against Seattle, which me personally, I'm really excited to see what Mr. Trey Lance can do in some normal weather conditions. Guess what, guys? He throws 3 passes and he rushes 3 times. You want to know why his stats are so low for this game? He doesn't have this many passing guys. He broke his ankle in the first quarter of the game. It was horrible to see how bad of luck this is. You finally get the starting job and you end up breaking your ankle, and he was officially out for the rest of the season. And then we know, of course, how the rest of the 49ers season goes. Jimmy Garoppolo gets a few starts and then he ends up getting hurt. And then Mr. Irrelevant himself, Brock Purdy, comes out and just starts absolutely balling in this 49ers offense. And then again, make it all the way to the NFC Championship game, or this time they would lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. But in that game, of course, Brock Purdy would get hurt. But this is not a Brock Purdy video. This is a Trey Lance video. So when the offseason started, a lot of people thought, what are we going to do with Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, and Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, they had a quarterback trio and it's just looking kind of horrible. Well, they let Jimmy Garoppolo go. He ends up signing a contract with the Las Vegas Raiders, so that's not the problem anymore. And then everyone is debating who is going to get the week 1 start, Trey Lance or Brock Purdy. Now, here's the thing. I know I said this is a Trey Lance video, but Brock Purdy has to get brought up again. Brock Purdy, that elbow injury he suffered in that NFC Championship game was very significant, because a lot of people thought that with this surgery and stuff, he was not going to be able to start week 1. It was going to hold him out for a couple of weeks. And if that were to happen, of course, that means Trey Lance would get another chance to start again. But sadly, that doesn't happen. Brock Purdy comes back actually a little bit early and ahead of schedule, and this man comes back pretty much ready. Trey Lance does get a few starts in the preseason, and honestly, he didn't show too much of anything special. It started looking very depressing for Mr. Trey, and I started to feel bad. And then a few days ago, we got hit with the Adam Schefter bomb. I guess the 49ers really had enough and they really wanted to start Brock Purdy, because Trey Lance ends up getting traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a 4th round pick. Now, this really blew my mind. I did not expect him to get moved right now. I expected that maybe happen like a little bit before the trade deadline or something, maybe next offseason, let him walk or something. Did not expect the Cowboys, out of all people, to trade for him, because, you know, they already have Dak Prescott and I guess Cooper Rush is the backup. But it's going to be very interesting to see what Trey Lance adds to this Cowboys team. Are they trying to give Dak Prescott competition? Because, you know what, I'm not going to even say that, because I know Dak Prescott is going to be the starting QB in Dallas. They're not going to change anything. They pay him way too much money to go ahead and change that. But it's going to be very interesting to see what Trey Lance does in Dallas, and what is he going to do exactly, because, you know, now he's definitely for sure not going to get a starting job and it's going to be a backup. It's going to be very interesting to see. And this is where we are now. Trey Lance looked like he was going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL for the San Francisco 49ers, now to the backup for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the reason why I said in the beginning of the video why I would feel bad is because this guy really has a lot of bad luck. I mean, your first game is in a freaking rainstorm. You can't really do much. And then the second game that you start where you are the starter, you break your ankle. And then, of course, Brock Purdy comes out of nowhere and just starts absolutely balling out, the last pick in the NFL draft. And now you are getting traded to the Dallas Cowboys. Trey Lance, it's a lot of bad luck. I feel bad for the guy. But here's the thing, what I was talking about. Remember when I was telling you guys to remember what they traded for him and what the Dolphins got? Because the Dolphins honestly smashed and cashed in on some of this stuff. One of the picks became Jalen Waddle, we all know, who would pretty much be a wide receiver 1 on a whole bunch of other teams. An amazing, explosive wide receiver. They would do some more trading, of course, giving some picks to they'd end up doing some trading, and the Dolphins would end up doing some trading, and they'd give some picks, and then picks would get swapped around. Of course, one of them becoming Devonta Smith for Philly, and one of them becoming Micah Parsons for Dallas. But the other 2 first-round picks they had, one would become Tyreek Hill. They would go ahead and trade for one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and the other pick would become Bradley Chubb, another great and a defensive piece that the Miami Dolphins are definitely going to need if they want to go ahead and win a Super Bowl. I feel like they're going to really need this. Now, this is the reason why the 49ers, out of all this, all trading for all this capital, get one thing out of it: a 4th round pick that we have no idea who it's going to be. And it's really safe to say that this is one of the most craziest quarterback situations ever. I mean, just getting hurt, and see how much bad luck this is and how much bad luck it is for Trey Lance. I really feel bad, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But honestly, that whole trade, it looks like one of the worst trades ever to happen in NFL history. And that is the story of what happened to Trey Lance ever since he has entered in the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Watch this video right here on my top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, and watch this video right here on why I think the AFC North is one of the most toughest divisions and maybe the toughest division in the NFL. And I will see you guys in the next video.